First, we begin with the Azatlan Lodge, number 1, Free and Accepted Masons of Arizona. Of that group, interred here in this cemetery are Henry Augustus Bigelow, George Whitfield Curtis, Crawley P. Date, Mr. Hopkins, George Ernest Jordan, David H. Massey, William Partridge, Frank Raymond, the Reverend A.C. Russell, and George Taylor. Informal meetings of men known to each other by fraternal bonds began as people moved into this area. The first formal meeting, although its minutes are without date, was held during the last months of 1864. It was held at the home of Governor John N. Goodwin, which is now known as the Governor's Mansion in the Charlotte Hall complex. Governor Goodwin presided at the meeting, and on April 23, 1865, presented the petition to the Grand Lodge of California. The charter finally arrived in Prescott on January 21, 1867. Azatlan Lodge is the father and grandfather to all chapters in Arizona. The fine Masonic building on North Cortez Street was completed and dedicated on November 17, 1908. The organization later moved to its current location on Willow Creek Road. Order of the Eastern Star. Interred here are Nan B. Jordan and Catherine Taylor. Several prominent local Masons, realizing a need for a more formalized and effective organization than the existing informal wives and daughters degree, prompted Morris Goldwater to become a member of California Chapter Number 4, Order of the Eastern Star. This led to the organization of the chapter in Prescott. Golden Rule Chapter Number 1 of the Order of the Eastern Star was chartered on February 6, 1882. Through the years, the chapter's history is interwoven with the civic and social history of Prescott and with the organization of other chapters in Arizona. The Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks. Interred here are Dennis A. Burke, a charter member, William W. Durbin, John H. Farrell, M.D. Hayes, Reese Martin Ling, W.F. Stewart, Joseph P. Tiernan, and George T. Tisdale. This fraternal organization was founded nationally in 1868. On July 7, 1896, a charter was granted for a lodge to be known as Prescott Lodge Number 330. Many of Prescott's leading citizens were charter members. Less than 10 years later, the organization raised $50,000 to erect a building on Gurley Street. The first floor contained room for 4 stores and the Opera House. The second floor was devoted to offices. The third floor consisted of a great hall and 2 lodge rooms. The Opera House was considered equal to the ones in San Francisco. It had a seating capacity of 900 large, comfortable chairs. There were 8 private boxes, and the 25-foot by 60-foot stage was finished with an asbestos curtain in case of fire. Independent Order of Odd Fellows. Private Joseph Cunningham, Ernest O. Mathewson, Patrick Henry Sheehan. On July 13, 1868, the first Arizona Lodge of Odd Fellows was instituted in Prescott. It is the second oldest national organization in the city. In 1902, the Odd Fellows erected a very substantial brick office and lodge building on Cortez Street, where the First Baptist Church parking lot is now located. The lower floor was rented for commercial purposes. The upper floor was used for lodge meetings and functions. These rooms were also rented to other lodges for their use. The main hall was fitted with a floor that made it one of the finest dancing platforms in the state. The building burned down in the early 1960s. It's about my second oldest memory. First being the assassination of President Kennedy. After that, I remember the burning of this building. Knights of Columbus. Patrick J. Fitzgerald is interred here. The Knights of Columbus, a fraternal organization, was founded in 1882 by Father Michael McGivney and a small group of men in order to provide some security for widows and orphans of Catholic parishioners. Father McGivney's idea grew into an order of Catholic men and their families dedicated to promoting the ideas of charity, fraternity, and patriotism. The local charter was granted in 1905. Royal Order of Moose, T. Rutherford. Prescott Lodge number 319 is the Mother Lodge of Arizona. It was chartered in 1910, 2 years before Arizona became the 48th state. The organization was established as a benevolent organization for members. Through the group, children of deceased Moose members are cared for at Moose Heart in Illinois. Elderly members with at least 15 years of service are cared for at Moose Haven in Florida. Over the years, the goals have evolved to embrace the needs of non-members as well. Money is raised through various fundraising activities and put back into the community and used to support the lodge. Say No to Drugs was originated by the Moose organization. In July of 2010, the Prescott Lodge celebrated its 100th anniversary. Women of the Moose. This group was founded in 1913, was reorganized in 1916. Prescott chapter was awarded their charter in October of 1931. The group is involved with the same activities as our Moose. Monday Club. Interred here is Julia H. Murphy and Daisy Florence Tisdale. The Monday Club of Prescott was organized on August 19, 1895, by a small group of women who felt the need for a literary organization. The women chose Mondays as meeting days because that was the day of the week they were not busy with other social events or household duties. The name Monday Club was chosen to distinguish them from women suffragettes. During that period, the suffragette organizations were referred to as women's clubs. In 1901, the club became a charter member of the Arizona Federation of Women's Clubs. In 1923, it became a member of the General Federation of Women's Clubs. Over the years, the club has been responsible for many improvements in Prescott, including raising money to help establish and build Carnegie Library, bringing manual arts and the first kindergarten to the public schools, and assisting Charlotte Hall with the restoration of the Governor's Mansion and providing scholarships to worthy young women. Prescott City Council. Dennis A. Burke, a former mayor, is interred here. John Rabel, he was on the first town council, and Zed Wilson. Prescott was incorporated as a village sometime around August 1st of 1872, but before March 24th of 1873. A United States patent to 322.44 acres was obtained in the name of Henry W. Fleury, probate judge of Yavapai County, and his successors. Act number 75 of 1881 creates a city by the name of Prescott out of the incorporated village. It states that the inhabitants will be a corporation under the name and style of the Common Council of the City of Prescott. Act number 37 of 1883 comprises over 40 pages and sets out with great particularity grants of rights, power, and duties of the Common Council, of their officers, and their powers and duties. Prescott Volunteer Fire Department. Archie Anderson of the OK Hose Company. Christopher Bauer of the Tufts. George Burton, also of the Tufts. John Fitzgerald and John McCarran of the Hooks, and Ernest O. Mathewson of the Dudes. Also interred here are Emerson B. M. Tackett and Joseph B. Tierney. First organized fire brigade was the Prescott Volunteers, formed in 1878. This happened because Morris Goldwater's new store caught on fire. The group was mainly a bucket brigade, which used any available container that would hold water. In 1884, a water system was installed. The Prescott Volunteer Fire Department was created by City Ordinance number 25 on March 3rd, 1885. 4 companies, the Tufts, the Dudes, the OK, and the Mechanics Hook and Ladder Company, composed the volunteer department. There was a great deal of competition between the teams. In 1954, the volunteer organization was overhauled and streamlined. The 4 companies were merged into one, and the name changed to the Prescott Fire Department. Some of the men remained as volunteers, while others received full or part-time pay. The Central Yavapai Fire Department was later established in 1965. Salvation Army. Third here is J.W. Tedroach. Salvation Army officially started in the United States in 1880. 3 years later, the Salvation Army had its first meeting in Prescott at the Palace Saloon. You go where you have to go. The officers and soldiers visit the hospital, the jail, and rest homes. They assist homeless families, counsel the troubled, and feed the hungry. There are programs and services for both adults and youth. Also, a computer center is open every day, teaching free computer classes to all the community. Though the world has changed, the Salvation Army's mission has not. Captain Robert Rhodes Nelson Camp, 1647, of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Interred here, Captain John Joseph Bradley of Texas, Colonel Hiram Alfred Owen of Georgia, and Private Henry James Wright of Missouri. In 1896, the national organization was formed with a charge from veterans who served the South during the Civil War. That mandate was to defend the good name and honor of those Americans who fought so bravely for the cause they believed in, and to guard their true history so that it might be preserved for future generations. Many of Arizona's pioneers who helped found this great state and Yavapai County were Confederate veterans. However, it was not until the 1940s that the Sons of Confederate Veterans first formed units in Arizona. The Captain Robert Rhodes Nelson Camp was formed in Prescott in 1985 and is named after a pioneer resident of our city and state who came to Arizona shortly after the Civil War. The Prescott Camp is dedicated to the memory of those Confederate veterans who are buried in Yavapai County and the balance of northern Arizona so that their lives and sacrifices may never be forgotten. The group has in the last few years identified the unmarked burial graves of 3 veterans here and has properly marked their graves. Veterans of foreign wars of the United States, Bucky O'Neill, post 541. Interred here is Ira Earl. The VFW traces its roots back to 1899, when veterans of the Spanish-American War and the Philippine Insurrection founded local organizations. In 1905, 3 groups merged to form one. Residents of Prescott, interested in having a chapter in Prescott, applied to the national headquarters for a charter in October of 1920. The charter was issued in January of 1921. Later, when the Arizona Post decided to form a department, it was a man from Prescott who was elected as the first commander. In June 1949, Post 541 purchased 2 lots at the top of the hill on Arizona and Willow Street. For over 50 years, this club has been a neighbor of the Citizen Cemetery. In Prescott and throughout the nation, the VFW preserves veteran rights, advocates a strong national defense, promotes patriotism, and offers community service.